Welcome to our channel, A History Chapter. Today, we delve into the sands of time to uncover the story of the Battle of Buxar, a pivotal conflict that reshaped the Indian subcontinent and fortified the foundations of the British Empire in India. The causes of the Battle of Buxar are rooted in a complex interplay of political, economic, and military dynamics involving the British East India Company and the Indian rulers of the 18th century. The British East India Company had been gradually expanding its foothold in India since the early 1600s, initially focusing on trade. However, by the 18th century, the company shifted towards territorial control and political power, exploiting the declining Mughal Empire's vulnerabilities and the fragmentation of power among regional rulers. Mir Qasim, the Nawab of Bengal, became increasingly disillusioned with the British East India Company's practices. The company's officials used dastaks, trade passes, to circumvent local taxes, undermining Mir Qasim's authority and depleting Bengal's treasury. This economic strain was exacerbated by the company's demands for more territorial concessions and administrative control, which encroached upon the sovereignty of Bengal's ruler. The period was marked by significant political instability and shifting alliances among Indian states. The Mughal Empire's weakening power vacuum led to regional powers like the Nawabs of Bengal, Awadh, and others vying for control and influence. The British East India Company leveraged these rivalries to its advantage, often playing one ruler against another to expand its influence. In an attempt to reduce British influence and regain autonomy over his affairs, Mir Qasim moved his capital from Kolkata, to Munger. He undertook military and administrative reforms to strengthen his position. Recognizing the threat posed by the British, Mir Qasim sought alliances with other regional powers who shared his concerns about British encroachment. This led to the formation of a coalition with Shuja-ud-Dawla, the Nawab of Awadh, and Shah Alam II, the Mughal emperor, aiming to challenge British dominance. This alliance represented a significant threat to British ambitions in India. The immediate cause of the Battle of Buxar was a series of military confrontations between British forces and those of Mir Qasim. After being defeated in earlier skirmishes and feeling betrayed by the British, Mir Qasim killed several British officials in Patna, leading to a direct military response from the company. The company's aggressive posture, combined with its strategic interests in controlling Bengal and surrounding regions, led to the inevitable clash with the Allied Indian forces at Buxar. At the dawn of the 22nd day of October in the year 1764, on the plains near the town of Buxar, Bengal and Mughal alliance forces outnumbered those of the British colony on the day of battle. Swelled between 40,000 to 60,000 warriors, a sea of humanity comprising infantry, cavalry, and the regal might of war elephants, representing the combined strength and resolve of kingdoms standing against the encroaching tide of British expansion. On the second side arrived the disciplined ranks of the British East India Company, led by the astute Major Hector Munro. His force, though modest in number, comprised about 17,000 soldiers, a mix of hardened British regulars, Indian sepoys, professional Indian infantry at the time, and cavalry standing as a testament to the burgeoning might of a distant empire seeking dominion over the Indian subcontinent. The disparity in numbers between the two sides highlights the significance of discipline, leadership, and military technology in early modern warfare. Despite being outnumbered, the British East India Company's forces were able to secure a decisive victory due to superior military tactics and flexibility of Hector Munro, effective use of artillery alternating cavalry charge, and the disciplined structure of their army. Victory of Sir Munro were also dictated by ineffective utilization of numerical superiority, by the coalition forces suffering from a lack of coordination and unity of command. The disparate interests and strategies of the Allied leaders and heavily relying on conventional warfare tactics prevented them from forming a cohesive battle plan. Their frontal assaults were met with devastating artillery fire and disciplined musket volleys and weren't effective in any way. The Battle of Buxar is a stark example of how a smaller, well-disciplined force with superior tactics and technology can prevail over a larger, less cohesive force, dramatically altering the course of history in the process. It was a turning point that heralded significant changes in the Indian subcontinent, reshaping its political, economic, military, and social landscapes. The aftermath of this battle set the stage for the establishment of British dominance in India, with far-reaching consequences that would unfold over the next 2 centuries. The following changes after the battle were: in the sphere of politic, foundation of British rule. The decisive victory at Buxar allowed the British East India Company to consolidate its power in India. The Treaty of Allahabad, signed in 1765, was a direct consequence of this battle. It granted the company the right to collect revenues from the rich provinces of Bengal, Bihar, and Orissa, effectively marking the beginning of British rule in India. Decline of Mughal authority. Although the Mughal Empire had been weakening before Buxar, the battle and its aftermath significantly diminished the power and prestige of the Mughal emperor. Shah Alam II became a pensioner of the British, and the once mighty empire was reduced to a shadow of its former self, eventually becoming a puppet regime under British control. Nawabs and princely states. The autonomy of regional rulers like the Nawabs of Bengal and Awadh was severely curtailed. While they retained nominal titles, their powers were significantly restricted under the overarching authority of the British. This period also saw the rise of subsidiary alliances, a strategy employed by the British to establish indirect control over various princely states across India. In the sphere of economy, revenue collection. The company's acquisition of Diwani rights marked a fundamental change in the economic landscape of India. The British introduced new systems of taxation and land revenue collection, such as the permanent settlement, which had long-term impacts on agricultural productivity, land ownership patterns, and rural society. Commercial exploitation. The battle paved the way for the British to monopolize trade and resources in India. The economic policies implemented by the British were geared towards serving the interests of Britain, leading to the deindustrialization of Indian crafts and industries and the integration of the Indian economy into the global capitalist system as a supplier of raw materials and a market for British manufactured goods. In the sphere of social, life, and culture, social reforms. Over time, British rule brought about several social reforms, including the abolition of practices like sati and the introduction of Western education. These changes had a profound impact on Indian society, leading to the emergence of a new class of educated Indians exposed to European political and philosophical ideas. Cultural exchange. The British presence in India led to a significant cultural exchange. Western art, literature, and science influenced Indian society, while Indian culture, philosophy, and traditions also influenced British perceptions and tastes back home. In the sphere of military, modernization of the army. The success of the British military tactics at Buxar influenced the modernization of Indian princely states' armies in the years that followed. Many Indian rulers began to reorganize their forces along European lines, employing European officers and adopting new military technologies. Thank you for joining us on this historical journey through the Battle of Buxar, a moment that forever changed the course of history, marking the dawn of British dominance in India. We hope you found the exploration of this pivotal event as fascinating as we did. If you enjoyed delving into the past with us, please consider subscribing to A History Chapter for more stories that shaped our world. Don't forget to like and share this video to help keep history alive. Until next time, keep exploring the chapters of history that intrigue you, and we'll be back with more tales of courage, conquest, and consequences.